As of today, or at time of writing, Sean Dyche has officially outlasted Ange Postecoglou's disastrous tenure at Nottingham Forest. Shall we see how he's done in that time? So Sean Dyche has taken charge for 8 Nottingham Forest games. We've won 4 of those, drew 2, and also lost 2. In that time, we scored 13 goals and conceded 5. Not a bad start. There has been some, dodgy officiating during that time, but still, not a bad start. Now, unfortunately, this video is coming off of that loss to Brighton, which was more disappointing than anything else, really. We just didn't seem to beat the races for the first 20 minutes, and whilst we did grow into the game, we did start looking better. There are just some issues that still need addressing, in my opinion. That Brighton performance was poor, and I'm sure Dyche will learn from this game to prevent that same sort of thing from happening again. I think if we were just a bit more clinical, we could have scored, and for a large part of that second half, it looked like we would grab an equaliser. It looked like it'd only be a matter of time. We were dominant, we were getting corners, really pushing Brighton into their own half, but a stupid error led to their second goal with only 2 minutes of regulation time left. And whilst we did have 7 minutes of added time, we just couldn't get a goal. And it wouldn't have mattered anyway if we scored, really. It was just not good viewing. And as I said, very frustrating. But at the end of the day, we were beaten by the better side. I think that's just fair to say. Brighton are knocking on the door of the top 4. They usually do quite well. And unfortunately, it wasn't a repeat of the 7-0 that we did to them last season. But we can dust ourselves off and we go again. There are 2 things really that I want to highlight from this game. The first part is Morato. He was not good at all today. If Murillo is out long term, then Morato should not be the one to replace him, because he was dreadful. I'd much rather see Jair Cunha play over Morato, because while we've not seen much of Jair, he played against Newcastle, and for what it's worth, he looked decent, even though we lost that game as well. He looked better than I think Morato has done in a Forest shirt. I just don't think he's up to standard. Even coming off the bench, I just don't trust him. There was a period of time last season where we brought him on towards the end of the games and he hadn't conceded a goal. But the more we've started playing him, the more we've seen of him, it's not been good viewing. Hopefully, fingers crossed, Murillo was just out for this game as like a cautionary measure. But Morato should not be starting going forward. I don't think he should be playing personally. Jair Cunha, much better player, who I would be picking over Morato if I was the one selecting the squad. Obviously I'm not, but he just wasn't good and was definitely at fault along with Sells for that second goal. We were on the up, we were on the precipice, we were getting there, we were trying for a goal. Brighton were defending well, we weren't clinical enough, but he was still at fault for that second goal. And it also explains why we're looking for a centre-back during the summer window. Unfortunately, we didn't bring in another one. I wouldn't be playing Morato much going forward, personally. But secondly, and on a much brighter note, we've got Omari Hutchinson. And for me, he has to start against Wolves. I can understand not wanting to change the team that put 3 past Liverpool at Anfield, which is very impressive, no matter how bad that Liverpool side is. But Dominguez is not a winger. He's just not. We should not be playing Dominguez at home. I really don't get what both Nuno and Dyche have seen in Dominguez to play him on the wing, over an actual winger. He doesn't have the pace. He is a midfielder by trade, and he can't do what we need wingers to do. I don't understand why he keeps getting picked when we have actual wingers on the bench who could do a better job in their natural position, especially Omari Hutchinson, because he was brought on at halftime for Dominguez, and it just changed the game entirely. They just couldn't contain him. He was absolutely terrorizing that flank. Whenever he got the ball, he was looking to get forward and put a ball into the box or even try to fashion a shot himself. And most of the time, he was successful in doing that. Brighton just couldn't really lock him down. It's been a similar story the last 2 times he's played, both against Leeds and Liverpool, because for some reason not in the Europa League squad. But in those games, his movement, his desire, his attacking play actually led to goals in both of those matches. It got our winner against Leeds, the second goal, and added a third against Liverpool as well. Very, very impressive player. He is going to be really good for us going forward. both in terms of his development and the player we have, and just moving our play, going attacking forward as well. He has to start at this point, especially against this Wolves side. If he doesn't start against Wolves, I don't know what he has to do to get a start, because he is mustard. Overall though, I am very happy with the Dyche appointment. I fully back him to take us forward, save us from relegation, and maybe take us on a European adventure as well. The whole feeling surrounding the club has lifted since his appointment as well. Now yes, there have been some stumbles in these first 8 games. You're going into a club that you've not managed before, players you've not managed before, without a pre-season. There's always going to be a few hiccups along the road, but Dyche looks to have learned from each of those games, and we look to be getting better with each game. For the most part, we play some good stuff, in my opinion. It's closer to how we played under Nuno than how we played under Ange, but with a team that was used to that style of football, Nuno ball, it's paid dividends. And that's why I'm not too worried about our current league position either. We currently find ourselves in 16th, a point above the relegation zone, and 5 off 15th place Bournemouth, but I'm certain that we'll be okay. It's unfortunate that Ange dropped us down here to begin with, but I have faith that Dyche will get us back up the table and ultimately secure a comfortable survival. I mean, he is a survival specialist in many senses of the word, did so with Burnley, did so with Everton. We're a much better side than both of those teams he managed, so I'm sure we'll be fine as well. We're also 16th in the Europa League, with 3 more fixtures to go, and I'm confident that we'll progress in this competition as well. Ideally, we'd secure top 8, so we don't have to play those 2 extra qualification fixtures, but hey, anything above 25th is good with me. I love the European adventure and I want to see that continue. Istanbul, here we come. He's also improved individual plays as well. Sangare has looked brilliant since Dyche's appointment. He's actually started to look like the player we paid the big bucks for back in 2023. Now there were signs of this under Nuno last season, but I think he's looked much better under Dyche. We know Dyche loves a strong midfielder, and I feel like that's what Sangare can offer, and it's paid dividends so far. I knew it would be Sangare's season. I tweeted at the start of the season that it was his time to shine, but I just didn't imagine it'd go like this. He scored his first goal against Leeds as well. Very happy for the bloke. Morgan Gibbs-White is also a player who's looked much better as well. He scored in 3 of his last 4 Premier League games, only just blanking against Brighton, but he was trying, to be fair to him. Now, I know I've said some not so nice things about Gibbs-White previously. Most of his performances under Ange were just not him. He just wasn't at his best, and I think that was fair to say, fair to point out. But under Dyche, he has looked so much better, and that is something that should be celebrated as well. He's become a very important player for us once again, always trying to fashion attack from something. Yes, he does his flicks and tricks, which he's known for. They've started to come off more, but sometimes he just needs to strip it back, I think. Not everything needs a fancy flick or a trick to get going, but good player. Started scoring some goals as well, putting some assists in. I think Morgan Gibbs-White might be back. He may have picked up an injury against Brighton, but I hope he's back for Wolves because he always loves a goal against them. So fingers crossed he's back for that fixture, which is on Wednesday. So not too long, but hopefully it didn't look too bad when he was injured, when he came off injured. So, we hope and pray. And speaking of injuries, we have sustained a lot of injuries as of late, which is costing us. But when these players are back, they are getting closer to return. It's going to be a massive boon for us. The likes of Bakwa, Douglas Luiz, Ola Aina, some of the players that are out injured so far who I expect will do big things for us once they return. And it'll just allow us to recover our depth as well, which is especially important for Europe. Now, I'm not sure how far off Chris Wood is from returning. I would love him back sooner rather than later. But he's got a history with Dyche, and I'm sure that when he's back, he'll start banging the goals like he did for us last season. Maybe not the same rate, maybe we'll see a little drop off, but he's a very good player. He's a very different profile of striker to the ones that we currently have, and I miss him. Quite frankly, I miss Chris Wood. I think when we get him back, we'll look good as well. I mean, we already look pretty decent with Igor Jesus playing up top. Callum Wendo, different profile of player as well. Grabbed his first goal against Malmo. Very happy for him there. Now, yes, Dyche was not an exciting appointment, but it was a necessary one. We needed somebody who could steady the ship and get us back to winning ways. And that's exactly what Sean and his team have done. It also helps that he and his coaching team share heavy links with Nottingham Forest. He was an apprentice. Steve Stone and Ian Wone played for the club. Our goalkeeper coach also played for the club on loan as well. They just get Forest, they get what this club should be, they understand the vibe surrounding it. They really wanted this job as well, if the article in The Guardian or The Athletic is to be believed. I don't see why it would be fake. So yeah, it just helps that they synergize with the club a lot better than Ange did, especially than Ange did, bloody hell. Something that was sorely missing from that Ange regime has finally been rekindled, and you can feel it around the club. Dyche ball is the way forward, you Reds.